Hello everybody, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming bringing you another video. Enjoying all the videos and content we produce, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that like button, and don't be afraid to share. Don't forget to click on the notification button, customize it however you want, but that way you're notified whenever we publish another video. And welcome to another Diablo 3 Season 26 video. Today we are taking a look at the Crusader. And so there's a couple builds that are competing at the top right now. And one of them is the Thorns of the Invoker. So for those that are unfamiliar with the set, basically the two-piece bonus is your Thorns now deal damage and it hits all enemies in a 15-yard radius around you. Each time you hit an enemy with punish, slash, or block an attack, your thorns is increased by 90% for 2 seconds, and this effect stacks up to 10 times, which may not seem like it only lasts 2 seconds, may not seem like that bigger thing, but your guy like attacks really quick. So you're going to build that up really quickly. The 4 pieces after bombardment deals damage to an enemy, you take 50% less damage for 20 seconds. So of course, bombardment is this. And then lastly, the 6 pieces, the attack speed of punish and slash are increased by 100% and deals 67,500% of your thorns as damage. So because it's called the Thorns of the Invoker, every single piece of the set has additional thorns on it. So I only have a mixed match of gear here, and my thorns and my also my legendary gem that has thorns on it isn't very high, but already I have 110,000, almost 110,000 thorns damage. So just to give you an idea, it does deal significant amounts of damage, which is why it's one of the top pushing builds. So the items that we need to make this work, as you can probably see here, I have 2 different sets on. I have the Invoker, and then I'm wearing Captain Crimson. So that means we are going to be using the Ring of Royal Grandeur. So I'll just go down to the cube so you can see that as well. And so basically the 5 pieces that we're wearing is the helm, the shoulders, the gloves. This set actually has bracers, so we're going to be wearing those. And then the pants rounds it out. To complement this set, we are going to be wearing Endless Walk. So this is, of course, Traveler's Pledge and the Compass Rose. So that is when we are standing still, we get the damage buff here up to 100%. And then when we're moving around, we get the damage taken reduction from moving around. Then we also have, I guess I'll cover the chest next. So the Aquila Cuirass. So this is when we are at above 90%, 90 to 95, depending on which one you get. Resource, so our Wrath, when it's above 90%, we take 50% less damage. We're pretty much always going to be above that. Actually, I'm thinking we're always going to be above that because I don't think we actually don't have a Wrath Spender. As soon as I said that, I'm like, I don't think we have a Wrath Spender. So we'll get the 50% damage mitigation from that. And then, as previously mentioned, we're going to be wearing Captain Crimson. So 2 pieces out of that because we're going to also take advantage of the Ring of Royal Grandeur. So the 2 piece for that is main thing to highlight is that you receive 20% cooldown reduction of all skills and also 20% resource cost reduction. And that also pays off because the 3 pieces is our damage deltas increased by your percent of cooldown reduction. So we get 20% from the set plus whatever we're wearing. And then when damage taken is reduced by percent of cost reduction. So that means we start off the 20% there on the 2 piece plus whatever we're wearing is going to also turn into damage mitigation. So this is pretty big for the extra cooldown to help keep Akarat's off, or Akarat's champion usable and off CD so we can spam it for the survivability that it brings. And then the ring that we're using is the Convention of Elements, and the element that we want to do our bombardment and our damage in is in physical because that's the damage that we are spec'd in this build. The weapon, we want the pig sticker for its really quick attack speed, as well as also it can roll on, as well as also it has by default cooldown reduction on it. And then you have the unique secondary where it's got plus damage to 2 different types of creatures. That's not the big reason, but it is a nice little bonus as well. Mainly the attack speed and the cooldown is why we want that. And then lastly, what we want for our shield is Akarat's Awakening, And so this is because every successful block has a 25% chance to reduce all cooldowns by 1 second, which will be huge to help keep our abilities off CD. It's kind of like the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, except for we have to block for the proc, and then it does all cooldowns rather than just one. And also, it has the 11% chance to block, so it's pretty good there as well. For our cube, we are wanting, or we're going to use Echoing Fury for our weapon slot. So this is when we slay enemies, we basically go into frenzy. So this is going to increase our attack speed. So when we first go into a rift, we might be a little bit slow, but as this stacks, we're going to just attack faster and faster. We also want Omni Slash, so we're going to slash in all directions. So this is just going to, when we attack once, basically it's going to attack everybody all around us. And then lastly, as previously mentioned, the Ring of Royal Grandeur. For our legendary gems, we are going to be, of course, using Bane of the Trap. It's in every build, so increases damage against enemies under the effects of control and parrying effects, so by a certain percentage. And then, of course, at rank 25, it gives us an aura that reduces enemy movement speed within 15 yards, thus giving us the effect to proc itself. Also, we want to use Boyarsky's Chip because this adds thorn damage, so a certain amount based on whatever rank you have. And then at rank 25, it taunts the first enemy hit by your primary skill for 2 seconds. This is the solo push build, so it's going to attack us anyways. And then lastly, we want Bane of the Stricken, so each attack you make against an enemy increases damage it takes, so it's a stacking buff that you're going to give yourself as you're beating on a target. This is incredibly helpful for Rift Guardians and Elites the higher we go. And of course, at rank 25, we get 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. For our regular gems, we are going to be using the diamonds. So in our helmet, it's going to give us cooldown. And then in our armor, it's going to give us resist all. So that is because we're strength based. So strength turns into armor. And then the diamonds are going to help give us resist all for extra survivability. Taking a look at our skills. So we're going to be using Slash with Zeal. So this is going to generate 5 Wrath and it's going to attack everything in front of you. So like I said, as you can see, with the Omni Slash, it attacks in all directions, but that's how fast it attacks. The Wrath generation doesn't really matter because we don't have any spenders. And then for our bombardment, so we have that survivability. We're using Barrel Spikes because Barrel Spikes is going to drop barrels and the damage it deals is increased by our Thorns. Then we're going to use Endurance on our Steed Charge, so Steed Charge with Endurance, just because it's our movement. And we can, if you want, you could change that to Spike Barding if you want, because I believe, yeah. Sorry, I got confused for a second. They changed it. I thought that used to deal spiked or your thorns damage, but I'm not seeing that anymore. It doesn't call out that it uses the thorns, so that kind of confused me just momentarily. But anyways, we're going to use endurance for the extra 3 seconds so we can cover more distance. Sorry about that. And then in our defensive, we have, of course, Iron Skin here. So with reflective, so we're going to turn our skin into iron, protecting you. And also when they attack us, it reflects back damage, dealing our thorn damage to them. Then we are also want the Law of Valor with Unstoppable Force, because this is going to increase our attack speed. So that is what we want that for. Then lastly, Akrat's champion with Profit. So we're going to gain armor and deal more damage. And also, the first time we take fatal damage while Akrat's is up, it will just consume Akrat's and we are returned to full health. For our passes, we are going to be using Fervor. So when we're attacking with a one-handed weapon, we have a faster attack speed and our cooldowns are reduced by 15%. Binary, gain 1.5 strength for every gem socket in your gear. So that's going to help us deal more damage and be tougher. And also, we are also running Indestructible here so that if we do pop low, we gain that extra life. It can only occur once every 60 seconds. This is kind of useful because Bombardment, it is a 60-second CD, so you may have a period if you have bad block RNG where both Bombardment and Accurates are down, so you can't get that extra survivability. So then this will come in handy to help you live in those questionable moments. And lastly, we want Iron Maiden, where our Thorns is increased by 50%. So the rotation on this is pretty simple. We're just going to keep up so we want our accurates up, and we will want to have bombardment for our damage mitigation. And then basically also going to throw up our reflective skin, our iron skin there, have our law up, and then we're just going to walk through and kill everything. And as they come off CD, we're going to keep putting them up. If you're finding you're quite tanky, you can, or you experience where there's kind of lulls where accurates is down and bombardment is down, you can save reflective skin to help cover that area where you might be a little bit more vulnerable, and you kind of get a feel for it. If you have good block rate, like good RNG, you may find that you can just kind of use them at will. But that's basically it. We're going to use the steed for movement and then cycle through our abilities, keep them up as often as possible. Don't want to overlap refreshing them. So like if Acrats is up, you get a bunch of blocks or whatever, and it's only halfway through it available, might as well save it so that you don't pop it then, and then you run into bad RNG, and then you're left vulnerable. That's pretty much all there is to it. We're just going to be a lot of this. So for fun, I thought I'd just add a little bit of gameplay just to show. So I'm on T16. My gear is not particularly good, nor are my gems. They're not overly high. So just to show what it's like, I ain't going to loot that. This is basically all there is to it. You're just going to walk through. You can see it's a little bit squishy because I didn't have up one of my defensives yet. But everything else just gets destroyed. So mainly the learnings I think for this, or the difficulty, will be in watching your defensives and watching the times that when you're most vulnerable. And otherwise, it's pretty solid. I imagine with this gear, it will just destroy rifts as you're going through them. So that brings us to the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. I will do my best to answer them. As always, we appreciate likes, shares, and subscribe, so please hit those buttons. And also keep coming back. We're going to have more guide videos for Season 26 on various characters. They're also in the description as well, so be sure to check them out. And as always, I hope you're enjoying Diablo, and we'll see you in the next video.